For you today. We have a big show, great show. I'm excited to be here with you. Is Cyril Gane a dirty fighter? A cheater, in fact. I dug through the archives. Everybody's talking about it right now. Khalil Roundtree, Brendan Schaub, Ariel Helwani, Luke Thomas. Everybody's speaking out about this White House fight where Cyril Gane struck Alex Pereira several times to the back of the head. Some people are saying it's 3 or 4 shots to the back of the head. Other people are saying it's, 14 unanswered shots to the back of the head. The referees are all having each other's backs, saying that there's nothing to see here. Every pro fighter gets told a very specific description of what back of the head is backstage. What the referees are publicly saying does not quite add up with what we get told backstage. We're going to get into all that. Plus, we're going to get into, because we're talking dirty fighters, John Jones has had a history of eye poking. He's also popped for steroids. What does that mean for the legacy of MMA? Who should be champ? How do we regulate it? What to do about it? We're going to get into all that. Plus, Joe Rogan. I dug up some quotes from Joe Rogan about the subject, guys. We're going to get into everything. We have a big show for you tonight. I'm excited. Let me check the chat real quick. By the way, guys, my name is King David MMA. I'm a professional MMA champion, a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I coach and I train at the greatest gym on planet Earth, Extreme Couture, home of multiple UFC world champions, currently including Sean Strickland, who was escorted out by police and I believe arrested at the UFC White House card. We got a lot to talk about tonight, guys. We have a lot or today. See, I'm on live earlier, so it's today. Plus, make sure you follow Fight Circus at Fight Circus on Instagram. And if you're a real one, get yourself a real one shirt so you can represent. I'm dropping it in the chat right now. Lastly, send your coach to StudioMillions.com. Studio Millions will get your coach right and get your gym cracking like butt cheeks. Let's freaking go, guys. Make sure you like the actual video. And if you are subscribed, I appreciate you. I'm not even going to tell people to subscribe. But if you're subscribed, I appreciate you. Thank you for that. For everybody who's subscribed. And if you got notifications on, then you know when we go live. All right, guys, let's get right into it. Tom Aspinall got poked in the eyes by Cyril Gane and can't fight for the time being. Now he's in contract negotiations. Now he's got Eddie Hearn beefing with Dana White. Cyril Gane is the interim heavyweight champion. So some people would say Cyril Gane got rewarded for poking Tom Aspinall in the eyes. Furthermore, people are saying that Cyril Gane hit Alex Pereira in the back of the head multiple times. There's multiple different camera angles. There's people counting out how many shots were legal, how many shots were illegal. He's dropping elbows, borderline 12-6 elbows to what looks like the spine, which people would say is very, very dangerous. I'm very into let's have less rules. So I believe that a lot of these shots should be legal, but they're not legal. So he's committing illegal shots, but what are the repercussions, right? So oftentimes there's the perception of what is prohibited and what's illegal, but those things are still allowed. So one could ask, is Cyril Gane or Tom Aspinall or anyone incentivized to actually eye poke? Because you get an advantage in the fight and you almost never get a point deducted. You can elbow a guy in the back of the head, right where his brainstem connects to his spine. You win the fight and you're the interim champion. So what's the downside to doing it? Are these just viable techniques at this point? Or is there something bigger happening? So I went and I dug in the crates, guys, and I found Joe Rogan talking about the eye pokes from Cyril Gane to Tom Aspinall. He said Tom Aspinall still can't see. He's got a fucked up right eyeball still. The reality is he might not ever fight again. Who knows? Okay, so if Tom Aspinall never fights again and Cyril Gane goes on to become the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, can you guys make an argument that he shouldn't have eye poked him? Now, we can make a moral case like, oh, that's wrong. But in terms of what actually benefited his career, it's looking like this benefits his career. What's the downside? The refs are not taking points. And then when we see it happen, the refs are literally coming together and sticking up for each other. So we've got sanctioning bodies that are politicians, the commissions. We've got essentially politicians as most of the judges. A lot of these people have never done or seen or practiced or done. There's literally people who've never boxed, were boxing judges coming over to MMA and then judging MMA, and they haven't even boxed, let alone done MMA. They're completely fish out of water, and they're in charge of people's careers. Now, the refs are all having each other's back, which in one way is kind of admirable. Like they're all standing up for each other. But on the other hand, it's like, man, so then what's a back of the head shot? If these were not back of the head shots, and these do not constitute the fight getting overturned or stopped or a break in the action or a recovery time for Alex Pereira, then what does? So why do we even have the rule? Why is there a rule if no one's enforcing the rule? Why are eye pokes illegal if nothing happens other than the guy gets more opportunity? Right? So is Cyril Gane a dirty fighter? Is he a cheater? Or does he just understand the rule set that no one's going to enforce this on him and that the only thing that comes out of this is benefit? We're going to get into that right now. Let me check this chat. I got what is that? ZH, bunch of A's. Zalfa is Cyril Gone Dirty. Yo, why am I the only viewer? Bro, you the early one. You're the early one. Plus, I'm going live early. And I'm gonna keep it real. The channel's growing right now. If you pop over to my Instagram, that platform I do a little bit better on, I get millions of views. And on this channel, which is growing, bro. So here, you're in the right place at the right time, my guy. I appreciate you. But yeah, so also Joe Rogan was talking about the eye pokes. He said, I keep saying it, but I feel they should never, but I feel that they should cover those fingertips. You got to cover the fingers. There's no reason not to cover the fingers. Like a bag glove, just a piece of leather that goes over the fingertips. So you have one thing. It's not going to invade your grappling, and it's not going to change your striking. This way, at least if you get poked in the eye, you're getting a blunt thing. You're not getting something that goes into your eyeball. Have them all covered and have soft foam ridge over the tip of it. You'll get fucking fingernails. So Joe Rogan wants, rather than address the issue, which could be easily addressed very quickly, if you go, hey man, the first accidental eye poke, you get a point deducted and half your purse. The second accidental eye poke, fight's over. You lose. If they installed those rules, eye pokes would immediately stop. If they installed a rule of, hey, if you have your fingers pointed at someone's eyes and they receive an eye poke, the fight's over. They would stop. We don't need special gloves. We don't need any of that. There's people at Extreme Couture right now that are fighting in the top 10 of the UFC that have got 30 fucking fights and they've never eye poked anyone. I've had 12 professional MMA fights. Not only have I not, as an amateur, and I've got more as an amateur, not only have I never eye poked anyone, I've never been eye poked in a professional or an amateur fight. It's not some magical, mystical thing that, like, oh, we need special gloves and we need to have, like, we need people to fight with goggles on. Nah, none of that, bro. There needs to be an incentive to fight clean and a de-incentive to if you do anything outside of the rule set. So anyway, let me check the chat real quick. We got Nuru77. Gane's hands and jab were smash and tongue. He had no reason to eye poke and risk broken fingers and fouls. It was definitely not intentional, but he said that's not intentional. That's not rational. Right. So let me ask you this then. Were the strikes to the back of the head not intentional? I mean, at what point? So whether they're intentional or not, my case is that if you put strict, severe consequences on these behaviors, then people will intentionally not do it. You get what I'm saying? Rather than unintentionally do it, like a lack of intention, I'm saying add intention to not doing it to ensure they don't do it, because now there's an incentive. So when there's an incentive, now this person is like, I'm going to intentionally make sure that I do not poke anyone in the eye ever, as opposed to, oops, I poked him in the eye. It wasn't intentional. So those are two different things. The gloves are a problem. Bring in the Risen and Pride gloves, and you'll see less. Okay, in bare knuckle, you see no eye pokes, right? Even in other organizations, you don't see eye pokes. It's only the UFC, right? So one would believe that because these other organizations don't have the same issue, that it could be hypothetically an enforcement issue, right? So even though if it's not intentional, adding enforcement to the rule set is what's actually going to cause the change. Now, I'm not saying that they should change it. I mean, obviously the eye pokes are one thing. What the strikes to the back of the head, I like that they made 12 to 6 elbows legal. I believe John Jones is undefeated. Now, technically with the rule set, he did, and I thought he had an arc on his elbow, by the way. When he fought Matt Hamill, John Jones was ground and pounding, and I saw an arc. So I didn't see a straight up and down 12 to 6. I saw an arc, right? Anyways, that's neither here nor there. He got disqualified. And that's like the last time anybody in a significant fight has had some kind of DQ or something, right? Unless you guys know of an example where they have. But long story short, now all the referees are coming together and they're standing up for the decision to not strip a point, stop the action, or disqualify Cyril Gane. Which, listen, Alex was losing the fight. But that doesn't mean you get to elbow him in the back of the head when the rules say don't elbow him in the back of the head. That's not an excuse. That's not like, oh, well, he was losing the fight. Dude, you don't know, right? So was Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje was losing the fight when he got dropped to the body, and Ilya was all over him, attempted submissions, striking him on the ground. He was losing the fight, but he came back and won, right? So I'm not saying Alex would have came back and won. Obviously, he had a chance. But if you're not going to deduct points for the negative strikes, the illegal techniques, if you're not going to enforce it, then what are we fucking doing? It's the same thing with John Jones. When John Jones pops for steroids, he's popped for, I believe it was clomidopine or something, Clomid, and he's popped for having some other, like an actual steroid in the system. And then he tested positive for picograms, and then they were like, oh, those are just picograms. They don't count, right? So he's incentivized because what's the consequence? He chills out for 6 months or something and then comes back. He chills out for a year, comes back and gets to fight for the belt again. If he was not on those substances, would his performance still be the same? So there's a bunch of mixed signals going on, which is like, hey guys, publicly, don't eye poke, don't hit to the back of the head, don't do juice, don't do any of that. Except if you do it, there's not really going to be any consequences. So it's like if you tell your kid to make the bed and the kid doesn't make the bed and then nothing happens, and you tell the kid to make the bed again and the kid doesn't make the bed, it's like, man, take away their fucking toys. Hey, you don't get any fucking toys. Go make your bed. Oh, I want my toys back. Cool, make your bed. And maybe don't cuss at the kid. Maybe I'm talking to you guys as adults, right? Whatever, right? Let me check the chat. All right. We got John Dong, the original super liker in the chat. He says, "What's up?" Herb D made it clear how small the legal area is. Most of this is understanding how small the legal area is about protecting the nape of the neck. Gane already had Alex seriously hurt. Yeah, no, I agree. He had him seriously hurt. But also in the back, just so you know, and it's not just me saying it, as a pro MMA champion with 12 professional MMA fights, and I've coached people all the way from amateur to the PFL, and I've cornered in the UFC. So it's not just me saying it, but like Khalil Roundtree saying it, Brendan Schaub saying it, every fucking fighter is saying it, that's not what they tell you in the back. In the back, they make this mohawk motion, and they go, it's this mohawk strip. And then they say, aim at the ears. Every fight, they literally tell you this. They go aim at the ears. As long as your punch or your elbow connects with an ear, even if it's a pinky finger, they're going to call that a legal strike. If you miss the ear, then you got a problem. They tell you this before every fight backstage. Every fighter hears it. Every time I corner, I hear it. Like amateur, pro, they all say that. So if now we're changing the definition and it's like, but this part back on the spine and then only a little strip behind, but then you can actually hit here, that's not back of the head, right? Then they need to be very clear about that, because to our understanding, everybody that's backstage is under the same understanding. Connect with the ear. So that's a little inside information that the YouTube community, other than the fighters, may not be talking about. So dudes like Ariel Helwani or any of those guys that don't actually fight, they might just be going, oh, well, Herb Dean said, well, bro, Herb Dean can say that publicly, and his constituents can all have his back. That's fine. What they tell us backstage is connect with the ear. So, John Dong, why do you think guys who fought had close fights with John Jones went on losing streaks afterwards, like Reyes and Gus? I have heard it's called the John Jones curse. So, okay, I'll tell you an example in my own personal life. I fought a guy. He was a 6-1 division wrestler. A lot of people believed that I was being brought in to lose because he was on track to go to the UFC. In fact, my manager's name is Roman. He runs Roman Athletic Institution. Best manager. And then there was another manager behind the scenes who manages a lot of guys from Extreme Couture. And his name's Lance. And Lance and I are friendly, but Lance isn't my manager. So I'm backstage and Lance comes up to me and he's like, dude, who are you fighting? And I'm like, Ben Hollier. And he's like, oh, tough fight. Tough fight. You know what I mean? I'm like, bro, watch what I do. And then I told Lance, I said, Lance, I'm going to go out there because we're fighting at altitude in Utah. I'm going to feel the air and I'm going to feel my lungs. And once I get an estimate of how hard I can push, so I'm going to circle it first. I'm going to be hard to hit. I'm going to frustrate him. Then when it's time to pick it up, boom, I'm going to crack him. He's going to shoot and I'm going to rip his arm off his fucking body. And then I told that to like multiple people. I told that to Lance. I told that to UFC fighter Chris Curtis, who was my teammate at the time, and he was doing commentary. I told that to my coaches and my cornermen backstage. I told that to everybody. This is exactly how this is going to go. Anyways, it goes exactly that way. Crazy, I know, right? And so this dude has not won a fight since. But I believe what happened from my experience with him is that being in there with me, my aura. This isn't me talking like an egomaniac. I'm just saying I have a presence. When you meet me in person, it's a hold up. Like these guys think they're gonna fight me because they see, oh hey, I'm Mr. fucking fun guy on the internet. And then when they meet me in person and we go fucking eyes to eyes and fucking toes to toes, it's a whole different ballgame. I think the same thing happens with John Jones. Well, they get in there with John Jones and they go like, oh fuck, there's different people out there. And so at a regional level, I've experienced this with a couple different people who were on track to do well, and then they don't do well after that. Like his next fight, the guy I beat up, he fought a UFC veteran to a 3-round decision. Now, keep in mind, I broke this guy's arm in 3 minutes, right? But he didn't win the fight with the veteran, with the UFC veteran. And that UFC veteran went on to do well. I think he got re-signed to the UFC. Anyways, doesn't matter. This guy's never won a fight again. And so sometimes some guys go into fights on like a momentum. And then in order to get to where they need to go now after having that momentum removed and having felt somebody with a different vibrational frequency in there, those two things combine and it really, really fucks with people because it's when you believe you're going to achieve your dream, the momentum is a lot easier to maintain. Like the getting the fuck up and training your ass off and being hungry and tired and all that is like, dude, I'm right here. It's right around the corner. And then you face a major setback. And then it's like, fuck, dude, I gotta start from not zero, but I gotta put way back. There's also a study that they've done on, I believe it was lobsters, and Jordan Peterson talks about it, and people quote Jordan Peterson and they make shirts with lobsters on them, and people clown him for talking about lobsters. But there's a dominance hierarchy in lobsters that some people would say is correlatable to human behavior. And if a lobster is, let's say, the alpha lobster, and someone challenges him and the challenger wins, the alpha lobster has a decrease in testosterone and other behavior. He doesn't assert dominant behavior. If the lobster goes back to fight again and he loses twice, he never fights again. He never tries to assert dominance again. So I'm not saying we're fucking lobsters. I'm just saying that sometimes at a more complex level, because we're more complex beings, that sometimes that is probably what these dudes are feeling. Even if it's not conscious, if it's a subconscious or it's a biological situation where they go on losing streaks afterwards. Plus, sometimes people get kind of like humanized. So if you're watching this guy and he's on a 7-fight streak and you're like, fuck, dude, that's going to be tough to beat that guy. He's got it figured out. And then you see John Jones mollywop him and you're like, oh, that dude's human. Same thing with Ilya. Everybody was terrified of Ilya. I believe Ilya is going to have some tough fights coming up. And while he's one of the most technical people in the entire UFC roster, you put him in with Paddy Pimblett after Paddy Pimblett just watched Justin Gaethje. Paddy Pimblett has a shot at beating Ilya Taporia. Paddy's bigger. Paddy's very big for 55. Ilya's coming up from 45. Ilya had trouble getting Gaethje out of there, who's a 55, like an actual 55er. The 55ers that Ilya got out of there used to be 45ers. The guy that's an actual 55er that he didn't get out of there is a 55er. So when you have the biggest 55er in the division, Paddy, pulling up on Ilya, after seeing that he's immortal, he is a mortal being, right? Not immortal. He is a mortal being. Then you're like, oh shit, Gaethje did it. I can do it too, man. That guy's got some quit in him. And if you see the light at the end of the tunnel, sometimes that can push you through hard points in fights. So there's another concept. It's called positive self-talk. And so in fights, if you've been in bad positions a lot in training, this is like what Strickland and Hamzat illustrated, is that you see the light at the end of the tunnel. You see an exit plan. You see, like, I got to get through this round, and then I've survived. I've weathered the storm, and I'll be able to fucking change the momentum of the fight. The same thing if Paddy goes in there and he doesn't know that Ilya is beatable. He's like, fuck, dude, what is this guy actually capable of? But we've seen his limit now. So now Paddy can go, oh, if I just survive this, I can get through this. I can get on and get into a point where this guy will quit. And even if Ilya doesn't quit on Paddy, Paddy is still motivated to push through tough moments, believing that Ilya will quit. Does that make sense? So anyway, let me read this. We don't agree on what shot is legal and appropriate consequences. You all mistakes the legal area is much bigger. It's about the nape of the neck. It doesn't matter about mohawk or ear. In fact, most headshots are legal, period. No referee has agreed with Shab or Roundtree that Gane committed a fight-changing foul. No actual Taylor Fisher. Bro, you you a spokesperson for the referees commission or something, dog? You got a hard stance, my guy. We got Hamza in the chat. The problem with Ilya is that a pretty boy, when he was cut and touching his face consistently, that's not a good sign. Oh shit. So you saying the pretty boy factor played in? I would say what played in was that he couldn't see out of either eye. That's a fucking hard fight to stay in. Also, some people are very, very good at being hammers and they're not as good at being nails. So again, we saw that in the Hamzat versus Strickland fight, where Strickland puts himself in the worst possible scenarios all of training. I'm talking all of training, all the time. He's bringing in the best wrestlers and he's starting on bottom and he's letting them fucking tee off on, not letting them, but like, hey, try and finish me, bro. I'm getting the fuck up, right? So he's got so much experience being the nail, not just the hammer. Whereas if you're winning and training all the time, oftentimes you don't get as many reps as you need to when shit gets tough. So those little differences, right? That little 10% difference or the little 5% difference where you haven't drilled the bad stuff enough can lead to big problems in the fight. Also, plus as a fighter, you bought another 6 million fake followers and you were fighter. And oh, dude, yeah, you keep saying that Ilya bought all these followers, man. I mean, I trust you. I need to verify that, but like, is like, what's that? Social Blade or something you're looking up? Paddy is 34. Paddy is also towards the end. Yeah. So, you saying Paddy wouldn't beat Ilya? Is that your take? We got Jared's Wheels. Hey, caught alive with King David. Let's go. My God, man. Good to have you in here, bro. You know, I'm going live earlier today. We're testing out some new shit, right? We're talking about live in the daytime. And then after I pop off this live, I'm I need to swear less. I'm going to use this software that's on my computer that the moderator extraordinaire Arpon the Don, he put on my computer. And it's going to allow me to do actual videos without having to export to CapCut and then edit in CapCut, then export back here and then import and export and all that. And then when I upload the video quality looks way worse. And then there's like all this stuff, and then the lighting looks different. So he put the software on the computer. So after I pop off here, then I'm playing with the software, and hopefully I'm dropping a video. My first video I would like to drop, although I want to do this one well, is going to be some insider stories, because my uncle was Hulk Hogan, RIP. And I got some inside stories about him and Donald Trump that nobody knows. Like, and not like political or anything, really. Like, just like some inside stuff about marketing and branding and like convos that they had off record, and nothing defamatory or anything crazy like that. Just like real interesting stuff that the only way anyone would ever know about it is if they were like related to one of them. So I'm gonna drop that video. It's gonna be like 3 secret facts that no one knows about Donald Trump or something. You know what I mean? And Hulk Hogan. And they had like essentially a lifelong friendship. So, is it true that Ilya bought followers? Oh, it's true that he bought followers. I think Ilya will drop back to 45. Interesting. I heard he does not want to make the weight. I heard it's brutal on him to make the weight, which that's kind of the thing, right? These guys are cutting a tremendous amount of weight. It's a big fucking issue, man. So I've been offered fights. So 2 of my last 3 opponents dropped out after I looked them in the eyes. So we weighed in. I cut all the fucking weight. One of the weight cuts, I slightly not like passed out bad, but like I was headed towards the bed and I like woke up on the bed. You know what I mean? Like, whoa, I like slightly zoomed out a little bit, right? But I made weight. And then the dude doesn't fight. So I gotta be nicer to these guys at the weigh-in, right? Because I'm over here trying to get like the engaging viral face off, like the stare down, And I guess it's too scary for some of these guys. But so 2 of them didn't show up to the fight, which sucks. But I've been offered fights after that, and it's like, dude, just get my fucking weight down. Like, I'm gonna keep it real with you guys. I'm fucking dreading it. I'm hungry right now. Like, I'm really fucking hungry right now. I don't want to fight at 165 again. I want to belt at 165. I just went up to that weight because that dude, I was like, that guy ain't beat me. That guy, hey, man, you're gonna give me a fucking title to fight that guy? Fuck that. I'm taking that. 65. Man, I'll eat fucking chicken wings and pull up on that dude and put hands on him. Bop these off the side of his head. Bop, bop. Bust his nose like a ketchup packet. So yeah, Aljo is way bigger than Ilya. Hamza, were you on the live when I talked about I was training with Aljo at Extreme Couture. He had popped in and he'd been training there a few times. He hits with Eric Nixick. And then he was doing some grappling with us. So he had grappled a few times and I ended up grappling him. And I understand why he's a world champion. He's very good. And keep in mind, I'm a black belt and a regional champion. And Aljo has some very unique stuff that he's doing. So shout out to Aljo. But aside from that, he had asked me about my weight class, and I said, "Oh, the next fight, I want to fight 45." And he's like, "Dude, no, bro." He's like, "What do you weigh?" And I'm like, "Bro, what do you weigh?" And it turns out Aljo at this time was cutting to 135. He weighed 173, and I weighed 174. I weighed 174 and I had body fat on me. He was 173 with abs. He was cutting to 35 and he told me not to cut to 45. He's like, just fight 55. And I'm like, bro, we're the same weight, dog. What are we talking about? So Aljo, yeah. Aljo, I would that's next time I see him, I'm gonna ask him. I'm gonna be like, hey, bro, what's your weight cut? Because I would like to try it. Yeah. And then he makes 45 easily. It seems like it's easy, right? I think he's just super professional with it. Aljo's fucking big, bro. He came in the gym the other day again. The guy's he's got to be in the 80s, bro. He's got to be. And he's jacked. You know what I mean? He's out here mogging on people, looking like he's on Clavicular's fucking supplement routine. I don't think he is. I think he's got naturally like big shoulders and shit genetically, which is the difference, right? If you start seeing a white dude get jacked all of a sudden out of nowhere. You're like, okay, you might be on some peptides, right? I give black people like a pass with that because I had a friend in high school and he looked like a normal dude, black dude. And this motherfucker came over and started lifting weights with me. And I'm lifting, I was fucking strong, guys. When I tell you I'm like freakishly strong. This dude was lifting the lightest weights and he went from like looking like a normal dude to like a bodybuilder in like 6 weeks. Not like actually like a bodybuilder, but you know what I'm saying. I was just like, oh, okay, cool. So he got whatever. I heard like 10% of the population of black people has a gene or something that allows them to gain muscle with like whatever. I don't, I saw it on Ty Lopez's Instagram, bro. I don't know if it's science or not. You know what I mean? But anyway, Aljo, yeah, I think Aljo's natty. He's jacked. He's fucking jacked. Said yes. Ilya will come back better than ever. He fought with no respect for Gaethje. Yeah, so I think he could have actually won that fight had he had a little more respect for Gaethje. And then I believe the biggest mistake that happened in the fight, and maybe there's a reason for this. Maybe it was because of the eyes or whatever. And he went to grapple with Gaethje, but he also saw Khabib easily beat Gaethje on the ground. So he probably thought like, oh, this is my quickest path to victory. Turns out that kept Gaethje in the fight when Gaethje was hurt from the liver shot. If you've been hit with the liver shot, dude, you can't really do anything. Your body shuts down. It's like non-consensually just right. And so I felt it before where like you want to move and your body's just like, you're not moving, bro. You're just stuck here for a second. And not a second, like a few seconds. And so, obviously hindsight's 2020. Had he had some more respect for Gaethje, had he moved a little more, had he, stick and move, um, played a more of a hit and don't get hit game, I think he would have done well with that. And then when he did hurt Gaethje, maybe like a hand on the neck and ground and pound from above, and then Gaethje has to stand up, and then uppercut, left hook, knee to the head. Hopefully Gaethje doesn't take Ilya down, but if he does wrestle up, yeah, because he's hurt, right? Like make him stand up, maybe. I don't know, but it's different when you're in there, man. When you're in there, like you can literally watch a fight and you can hear the commentators. And then when you hear the commentators talk about you in a fight, you're like, bro, you don't know what the fuck you're watching. So that you'll hear fighters say this. There's two of you in there. You know what's happening and he knows what's happening. And no one else knows what's happening. Only you guys know. So Connor talks about this with Chad Mendez. People are like, oh, Chad had a short camp. And then Connor's like, no, Chad knows. That was the best body work in MMA. He's like, those shots hit Chad Mendez. He's like, Chad knows it and I know it. And we both know what the fuck happened in there. And so when you hear guys say that, out of context, it doesn't make sense. But when you've been in there, so what I'm saying is this. To an outside observer, it looks like Ilya should have let Gaethje up and could have KO'd him or could have laid him on the ground and just raised his hands, saluted the troops or whatever, like Sugar Sean did. And if Gaethje can't stand up, the ref waves it off. He went to the ground with him. So to me, that looks like an issue. But if we talk to Ilya, or if we were in Ilya's body, maybe that's the play we all would have done. So anyway, Aljo weighs 185 to 190 these days. Yeah, he's big. Genetics matter. Not all blacks. Many blacks have superior genetics. That's why when we used to beat Soviet Union, we used our black athletes. He also didn't prepare for the weather that tired him out too. After the second round, he was exhausted. Yeah, but here's the thing, man. Gaethje was in the same weather, right? So people say the weather's a variable. They fought in the same conditions. So as a professional MMA champion, you got to be prepared for the event you're going to. For example, I just told a story about fighting in Utah. Hey, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to circle. I'm going to be hard to hit. I'm going to frustrate him. And then when I feel my lungs, because I've never fought at altitude before, I had to go feel it. And then I knew what I was capable of. So I'm not saying that, you know, that's the correct strategy for Ilya and Gaethje. I'm just saying that I'm sure Ilya took that into consideration before the fight. Like, hey, we're fighting outdoors. There's some variables. I'm sure his camp took it into consideration. I would imagine that they were prepared. Ilya did almost got the submission, if I remember correct. Yeah, man, he had him in a couple situations that looked kind of like I thought he was going to get him. And I was big going for Gaethje too. I'd even called. I said I was 100% sure Gaethje was going to win before the fight. So I was like, dude, Gaethje, you got to pull this out, bro. I'm not. I'm on YouTube talking shit on your behalf, bro. I'm speaking with conviction. I'm 100% guaranteeing it. I had people dropping comments telling me that they were betting on Gaethje based on my pick. Oh, speaking of, Ty is someone who bet on the fight. You know what I mean? So I'm like, dude, Gaethje, bro, get the fuck up. Get out of these submission threats. I have raw cacao. It's raw cocoa. It's organic raw cacao. Right. It's just, I guess, a fancy word. But if you're bougie, you shop at Whole Foods, you call it cacao. I guess that's what it's actually called, not cocoa. Cocoa is the processed version. Anyways, I've got that. I've got 2 droppers of stevia in here. I've got a handful of sea salt, like a like a palm full, like that much in there. And then I put lion's mane. And I feel like I can see the future. I'm already off 2 energy drinks today. I'm about to go get some more caffeine, guys. I don't have any caffeine at the house. It's irresponsible of me. I drank it all. I drank it all today. And I don't even have a shipment from Amazon coming. What am I doing? I need to go on there and order. In the meantime, I'm going to pop by Sprouts. I live 200 feet from a Sprouts. You know what I'm saying? Where will we meet each other in person? I'm just like, I'm over here. I got my dime piece girlfriend. We're riding scooter. Anyways, it's an Instagram reel. If you guys seen the reel, you know what I'm talking about. But so I'm going to pop by Sprouts and, or maybe Whole Foods. I fuck with Whole Foods more, to be honest. It's just a vibe. Like shopping at Sprouts is cool and all, but like Whole Foods is a vibe. Whole Foods is a vibe, man. That's my. Anyways, so I'll probably stop at Whole Foods and I'll probably get. Dude, I love their fucking 0-calorie soda. The Whole Foods brand, 365 every day. Dude, anyway. And it's got caramel color in it, and I'm against that. I'm like, why do we need? But I believe it adds to the flavor. So I'm making an informed decision that while this may not be the healthiest thing to possibly drink, it tastes fucking good. So I'm optimizing for taste over perfection, guys. All right. I'm guilty. I'm guilty. Let me read the chat. When you fight on stage, do you remember everything play by play afterwards, or do you have to watch it film to recall? I only had a couple fights at work. Yeah, man. Sometimes on work fights, bro, No, so there's different things that happen. Sometimes you get in the zone and everything turns into slow motion and you can like see the dude's strikes coming and you're like, you literally feel like you're in the Matrix, like you're Neo, like, oh shit, this guy can't hit me. Bah, bah. Oh, it's all right there. And I've heard that that is a phenomenon of the brain where you're in like a flow state. So I've been in that before in fights. Other fights I've had where I have a different recollection. It's like almost like an emotional. I don't even like this word. So guys, don't start calling me sus or anything or saying I'm with the alphabet squad or any of that. Okay. I'm just using this word as a word because my vocabulary could use some improvement. So I'm using this as a filler word, but you get the idea. So this word, like an emotionally traumatized state. So my memory is an emotional trauma memory rather than a logical and factual memory. So I beat a guy named Cody Gibson. I broke his arm too. Not that I'm proud of breaking people's arms. I'm just saying he went on to fight in the UFC and he knocked people out. He got on the Ultimate Fighter and he went to the finale and he had a fucking sick ass fight. You know what I mean? Like, so the dude's good, right? And in that fight, I remember being so fucking tired. I don't know. I had an adrenaline dump. One, it was outside. So maybe that does have something to do with it. I don't know. Maybe I'm over here talking shit. Oh, everybody's equal, guys. They all knew. But maybe the outside did it. I was so fucking tired. I was so fucking I was like, dude, I really hope I submit this guy right now because I'm not sure how much fucking longer I can fight this fight. Like I was cooked. Cooked. And so I ripped him limb from limb. And then I'm in the back and I'm literally laying on the floor backstage right by the curtain where they walk out. I'm on the floor and somebody comes up, hey man, we want to interview you. Can we do an interview? And I'm like, yeah, they're like, oh, we got a chair over here. I was like, dude, just talk to me here. I can't walk to the chair. I'm too tired. Right. And I was fucked off, fucked off. And then they were asking me about the fight. And I was like, yeah, man. Yeah, I feel like shit. I lost that fucking first round. That was horrible. I knew I had to finish him in the second. And they're like, lost the first round, bro. And I'm like, yeah, man, and what had happened is I got hit in the eye. And so I was counting that like on his side. And then the rest of the fight, I had like kicked him or something. He shot, I reversed him. I took his back. I landed some strikes. I had a full body lock on him. I had him belly down. At one point, I had an omoplata on him and a toe hold at the same time, or it was a triangle and a toe hold at the same time. And so watching the fight back, like I beat that guy everywhere. But in the moment, the emotional memory that I had of the immediacy of the fight, I was emotionally like fucking, oh fuck, I'm so glad I got out of there. That it was like a relief. So emotionally, I had felt that I had not performed up to my capability. So I assumed I lost. But when I watched it back, I was like, oh shit, fucking cooked that guy. So, anyways, yeah. Sometimes you have a weird recall. So, and then I've also been in situations where I've been hit in fights, even when I won. And my brother's 6'7". He was Horace Hogan in the WCW. Giant, giant guy. He came in the back and talked to me. And like, I don't remember it. In a fight I won. You know what I mean? And I was probably, unfortunately, concussed, or maybe just so adrenaline dumped that I don't remember, an hour after the fight, a lot of what happened. But yeah, so I didn't remember that part. And then I do remember another part of him being backstage with me, where it was him and my uncle. And my uncle's telling me to do steroids, which at the time I was like, what? But it was funny because that's my uncle's frame of reference, right? He's trying to give me like unclely love, like, oh brother, we got to get you on some juice, brother. You know, and then him and my brother, they're both pro wrestlers. So they were telling me that because the crowd booed me because I beat up the local dude. I didn't beat him up. He beat me up and then I popped his arm. But I won, right? And then the local crowd was like trying to get me in the parking lot and all kinds of stuff. And I was trying to shout the guy out and say he's resilient, he'll be back, and shout out to him. And the crowd just booed me and booed me and booed me. And they were like, hey, brother, if you ever get booed, just fucking turn on him. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, you don't even know how to spell the word boo. So later, when I fought in Arizona and the crowd liked the other guy, because it was a Hispanic crowd and the dude came out to like mariachi music. And they were, because neither one of us were like the local guy. So he had the music they liked. So they were, I was like, okay, when I fuck this dude up, these people better cheer for me. And they were rooting for him. So I got on the mic and I was like, Arizona absolutely sucks. I'll fight any one of you. Right. And then they started booing me. And I'm like, you idiots don't even know how to spell the word boo. So that came from the other fight where my uncle and my brother both told me as a pro wrestler that if the crowd's booing you, get just feel what the crowd is and then ride that wave. So that's what I started doing. So anyway, that's a little, Hulk Hogan, Horace Hogan, pro wrestling, MMA, behind the scenes stuff. Man, you never no telling what you're gonna get on the live, right? Let me read this. I'll be in Vegas in July for a week, second week of July. I gotta bounce. Peace out, brother. Hey man, yeah, July is that International Fight Week out here? Play the heel. Yeah. So I've been doing that. I went viral a couple times playing the heel, which is super fun because I kind of resonate with it. When I did a full tribute to Rick Rude. Oh, you fat, out of shape Montana meatballs. I need to. Oh man, they started throwing beer at me. A lady jumped over the barrister, over the barricade or whatever you call it, the barricade. Yeah, man, they had to snatched her out by security. That was rough, man, because there was children crying. I didn't mean to make the children cry, but I didn't know that Montana would take it so seriously. I thought we were having fun. Uh, That you can't spell boob was funny AF. Yeah, man. Yeah, that was a fun one. That was fun. And then that was my first like time really going heel was that one. And then I was like, oh, I like this. And then I started going heel at other ones. One of them I got the crowd to chant impeach Biden while Biden was president. That was a fun one. Because I didn't know which way the state had voted. So like, before I go walk out, I'm like, hey, I had this idea, and I don't tell my cornerman. And my cornerman's a black dude named Chris Ruffin. And a lot of the time, at that time, a lot of people in the black community, from my understanding, were not supportive of Trump, right? So I had not told Chris what I was going to do. And while Chris is more moderate, I'm not going to, I believe he voted like third party, maybe. You know what I'm saying? He's not even really into politics like that, right? But he's got to go to whatever Thanksgiving and shit and see his family. And now he's associated with this crazy person. So I had not even told him that I was going to do this. And then I get up there and I had asked somebody, I was like, is this a red state or a blue state? And they're like, oh, it's a red state, right? So knowing that it's a red state, I was like, I'm going to try. And instead of going heel, I'm going to go baby face, but I'm going to do it with, all these people probably support Trump. So I'm going to talk about Trump and then Biden. And so I'm up there and I'm like, uh, did North Dakota vote for Joe Biden? And they're like, boo. And I'm like, or did North Dakota vote for Donald Trump? Yeah. And I'm like, okay, it sounds like we got some reasonable patriotic Americans. So I'm playing this whole thing up. And then the crowd chants impeach Biden. I go, when I say impeach, you say Biden. And then I go, impeach Biden. And I'm like, I'm not political. I'm just like having fun. And then this is when I realized that this shit gets wild. Is that the comment section? There's literally people like attacking each other. Tell me where you live. I'm gonna pull up on you, and like all these people going in, and I'm like, dude. So from my perspective, a lot of politics, like Clavicular says, is jester, right? I'm like, dude, I don't know what the fuck's going on with any of this shit. This dude says like he's gonna do a bunch of shit. That dude says that he's gonna do a bunch of shit. If I were to pick somebody, Trump or Biden, I'm going Trump personally. You know what I mean? And could I be wrong? Yeah. But at the same time, I'm like, this guy's sales pitch sounds a lot better to me. Freedom. You can say what you want online. You don't have the government injecting you against your will. And you know what I mean? Just like a meritocracy, right? That sounds good. Now, is that what we got? I don't know. You know what I mean? But like at the time, I'm like, okay. But I wasn't super like invested. I was just doing it more of like hey, I have this idea and I think it would be fun. And then it turned like very not fun in the comments. And people would go, well, that's engagement. That's good, right? But like, I don't know, man, at what cost, right? So anyway, I got them to chant that. That was wild. Oh, and in that speech, I felt the dude that I was fighting was on steroids, so I did it like steroids don't help. Uh, that dude could do all the juice he wants. Keep in mind, I beat the fucking brakes off this dude. This dude didn't land a strike on me. I had kicked him, boom, full on in his face, the old Machida style. Front kicked him in the face, and I believe I used my rear foot, but I rear kicked him in the face. I had kicked him in the ribs. He was panic wrestling. He was terrified to stand and strike with me. And then on the ground, he had like nothing for me other than holding on and being strong. And I had choked him and elbowed him in the head. And then later, I saw him backstage, and he was a pumpkin head, and his head was wrapped up like he had like he had like ice and all kinds of shit on his head wrapped up. And said, so while I'm saying steroids don't help, that dude could do all the juice he wants. He needs to do EPO or something, because all I do is rounds on rounds on rounds in here, in the bedroom, back to back, right? And so I'm talking shit. And apparently, this guy's trying to rush back to the cage because he's pissed off at me. Roid raging. You know what I'm saying? He's pissed, trying to, what, you gonna do, fight me again, bro? You saw how that went. I smoked you in 3 minutes and you didn't land a strike on me. What are you going to do? So that was a fun one. That was a fun one. Yeah. And that was me trying to be a good guy. So Any good stories of me and Felony? Dude, well, the main thing about me and Felony, well, one, if you go on my Instagram, King David MMA, you'll see we did a reel. It's called "Taking My Black Friend to Whole Foods," starring Felony Charles Bennett, and I take him to Whole Foods. And that one's pretty fun. And just in general, Felony's much different than what people may perceive. So this is the Felony Fight Circus Edition shirt. So you can see all his mugshots and his Cash App, right? So maybe hit his Cash App up or whatever. But people see the mugshots and they think it's one thing, but like Felony has he's like a certified dog trainer. Like, I'm being serious. He like loves animals. We had a turtle in the backyard. The turtle randomly popped up at the house, and there's just a turtle in my driveway. So I take my turtle, not my turtle at the time, the turtle. So I'm taking it. It's a desert tortoise, but I call it a turtle because, that's more fun than tortoise. It's actually a So, anyways, I'm taking the fucking turtle to the neighbors and I'm putting them on their ring cams. And I'm going like, hey, is this your turtle? I found this turtle. So I'm doing that to all my neighbors, put him in the back. And then Felony's like, oh, you got a turtle? And then he always calls me the N word. So he's like, turtle, you got a turtle? You know what I mean? He's like, I'm going to buy him a pool. And then I'm just like, oh, Felony's kind of just joking, right? And then Felony bought him a pool. He bought him a plastic pool. Felony had his female friend that he was hanging out with at the time. She pulled up because Felony doesn't live in Vegas. He lives in Georgia. So he flew out here. So his chick pulls up. They go to, I guess, Walmart or something. They buy a pool, put it in the back, and then it turns out that it is a desert tortoise, so it's not like amphibious. So now we have a plastic pool next to the big ass pool in the backyard. I got an 8-foot pool diving board. Oh, you know what I mean? I'm not here to whatever, right? It's nice. You know what I'm saying? What does he say? Uh, what does he say in that line? Uh, he's got a nice pool. Mine's just bigger. Is all I'm saying, right? Like I think it's a rap song that says something about that. They're talking about their pools. He's like, oh man, my pool's bigger than so and so's, and I'm not saying he's got a. It's like he's got a nice pool. Mine's just bigger. Is all I'm saying, right? So I think it might be Drake talking about Kanye. And he's like, I got a pool bigger than Kanye, and Kanye's pool's nice. Mine's just bigger, is all I'm saying. You know what I mean? So he's just like, hey man, he's got a nice pool too, right? So anyways, I have a nice pool. I'm fortunate. I'm blessed. God bless. Thank you. And so Felony pulls up. Now we got a pool in the backyard. Felony's feeding the fucking turtle strawberries. And like the turtle likes the strawberries, but you know, are turtles supposed to eat strawberries? I don't know. I'm not a fucking turtle expert. So now we got this turtle. It's me, Felony, the turtle. There's a pool in the backyard for the turtle, but the turtle can't really go in the pool like that. And yeah, man. So that was interesting, just seeing Felony's love of animals. And then the other thing is that yeah, no, people don't expect that. And he's super caring, whereas I believe that his care for like other people in a lot of ways uh, gets him caught up in situations, where I'm more like, dude, I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? And it's not that I actually don't give a fuck. It's more just like I feel that I have an amount of energy, and where I direct that energy is something that I'm conscious of. So if I see somebody getting, let's say, into a police altercation on TikTok, right? I'm more like, oh, I don't even want to watch it, right? Whereas it's like Felony actually cares about the person involved, even though he's never met them. You know what I mean? Like he's like compassionate towards them and empathetic. So that was super interesting as well. And then uh Felony also does not drink water. So a lot of people thought we were just playing that up for the Instagram, because we have reels on Instagram where we talk about it and stuff. All he drinks is Mountain Dew. So before we would spar, and we sparred every day. This is how Felony got in shape for his most recent bare knuckle fights. Both fights, he was in better shape than his opponent. And we did this because we sparred. We started off with however many rounds he could get through. By the end of camp, we were doing 10 3-minute rounds, boxing only, with 30-second rest. And we're pushing it, you know? And he was shadow boxing for 20 to 30 minutes in the sauna before we sparred. So he liked to warm up in the sauna. But keep in mind, the sauna is like whatever the fuck it is, 150 degrees, 140, 150 degrees. I don't know how hot a fucking sauna is, but it's hot, right? Hot as fuck. So he's in there shadow boxing, he's sweating. He's doing this for 20 to 30 minutes. Most people would feel they're dehydrated. He pulls up from there, directly from there to the cage. Now I'm drinking gallons of water with electrolytes every day. He's drinking Mountain Dew. You know what I mean? So he'll pull up with a 16-ounce Mountain Dew, fresh out the sauna, take a sip of the Mountain Dew. We'll spar 10 rounds, and then he'll be like, "Oh, I need to rehydrate," and then he'll finish the Mountain Dew. So people think I'm bullshitting about that. That's actually factual. And there's nothing that would bring me more. I mean, I'm sure if I thought of it, but like just for the sake of this conversation, right there, it would bring me a lot of joy if Mountain Dew sponsored Felony. So that would be like an iconic moment because I literally have Mountain Dews up, and he won't drink Mountain Dew out of plastic. So I have someone brought Mountain Dews for Felony. Lewis did. So Lewis he has Fight Chronicles 1-on-1. He has a channel and he does podcasts and he interviews all the fighters. So before like the MVP card, he was interviewing everybody, and before like he's interviewing everybody out here. He's in Vegas. He's making moves, and he brought Felony. He got somebody who owns a gas station or a liquor store or something to provide Mountain Dew. So he pulls up with all this Mountain Dews, except most of it's in plastic. And so Felony won't drink it. So now I got Mountain Dews at the house, and I don't drink Mountain Dew. So, you know, it is what it is. We have, just in case if we ever have a Mountain Dew shortage, I could sell Mountain Dews on eBay or something and go buy a Lambo. Anyways, guys, that's the stream for today. I'm going to figure the software out right now. Make sure you have notifications on because as you can see, I go live at random ass times. And if you set your notifications, bang the bell. It feels good when you do it. And then you tap on all notifications. You don't need notifications for everybody on YouTube. You don't need them for anybody else on YouTube. I just go live randomly. So if you have notifications on, I appreciate it when you guys hop in the chat. It makes it way more fun. And I will see you guys tomorrow because I go live every day. All right. Peace.